You're watching Toyota Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Toyota Sports Extra after the NBA Finals on ABC 10. I'm Lina Washington. He is Kevin John, and we've got you for the next 30 minutes to talk all things sports, mainly basketball. The Raptors looking to take a 2-0 series lead to Oakland as they continue their historic run at an NBA championship. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. We're recapping the biggest moments and bringing you live post-game reaction after Game 2 in the 6th.
And former Sacramento Kings player turned radio analyst Henry Turner joins us in a moment to break down Game 2 and all the storylines surrounding this series.
All right, well, after 24 years in the NBA, this is probably the biggest storyline for Raptors fans. The only team north of the border is having its moment in the spotlight. The Raptors opening the finals series against the two-time defending champion Warriors at home in Toronto with a win on Thursday. But were they able to recreate that magic tonight in Game 2?
No, and Drake is not a happy camper right now. The Warriors playing without Kevin Durant once again, but the Dubs getting another player back from injury. During the series, former Sacramento Kings star DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah.
And Boogie would get the start in this game, too. The fourth playoff game in his 9-year NBA career, DeMarcus finishing with 7 points in 11 minutes in the first half. He would end up with a double-double in the game. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson combining for 34 first-half points. Splash Brothers getting it done, but the Warriors found themselves in another first-half deficit.
Yeah, it was 59-54 Raptors after the first half, but if you've been following the Warriors this season, you know what they do in the third quarter is they make runs. And they went on an 18-0 run in the third quarter, scoring the first 18 points of this game. Kawhi Leonard and Fred VanVleet powering the Raptors in this matchup, but Kawhi Leonard pretty much contained from the field, even though he finished with 34 points. The Warriors came out swinging out of the locker room, and they went on that run to put them in the lead, and they never let up in that second half. They went from trailing by 5 to leading by 13 real quick, powered by Klay Thompson, who played like a man on a mission, leading the Dubs with 25 points in this series. He left the game in the fourth quarter, as you see Andre Iguodala knocking down the dagger, the 2015 NBA Finals MVP, giving the Warriors the win on the road in Toronto. This is officially a series, folks, because the Warriors pull off the 109-104 win in the 6th. Here is Steph Curry.
Let's play until the finish. Everybody just stay composed. I mean, they're a great team. They make runs, but that third quarter, we imposed our will and got stops on defensive end. And no matter how ugly it was down the stretch, got it done. The whole fourth quarter, they were playing some janky defense, just trying to send bodies to me everywhere. And our whole roster just took advantage of it. Like, over the course of the game, that's kind of disrespectful to leave Andre Iguodala open like that. You know, with the game on the line, he's made big shots like that before, and he got it done tonight.
Yeah, the Warriors got it done tonight, and now we want to welcome Oakland's own and our former Sacramento King himself, the high flyer, Henry Turner, back with us on Toyota Sports Extra. He's now a radio analyst with the Kings radio broadcast on Sports 1140 KHTK, but he's joining us after NBA Finals games throughout this series. And, of course, you're wanting to see the Warriors pull this out in 6 games. This is looking pretty good for them now, huh?
Well, you know what, El? It's just like you said. We have a series, a playoff series now. The Golden State Warriors have went into Toronto and won that first game on the road. So now they got home court advantage. And we know how the Dubs come back. And that's one thing, when you're a championship team, they have that pedigree. Everything we watched tonight, we understood that third quarter. We know what the Dubs do. They come out and they make that run. And then all of a sudden, down the stretch, you have big-time players making big-time shots.
Yep.
They have been there before. They have done that. They get Steph Curry off the ball. He gives it to Livingston. Livingston finds Iggy, former MVP.
Yeah.
Knocks it down. These guys are cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, I was going to say, how discouraging a loss is this for the Raptors to lose this at home in the manner that they did?
It's not a big-time discouraged, but what you have to understand is that you don't have home court anymore. Mm-hmm. Now you have to come out this third and this fourth game. They have to win one of those 2 games in Oracle.
Yeah, well, we will see what they are able to do in Oracle. We have the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, at the podium after a big win on the road now.
Steve, Ian Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. Just to go back to Steph for a second, there were reports that he left the game in the first quarter and that he was battling some kind of an illness. Can you fill us in on that?
I think he may have been a little dehydrated, and that was the word I got. He just was feeling a little bit lightheaded and went back into the training room and came back and was doing much better. So I'm not exactly sure beyond that. So that's all I've got for you.
Last two quick ones on this side right here.
Steve, Dan Weinke with the Los Angeles Times. Can you just kind of expound on sort of the totality of the team during that run? You mentioned Bogut, but like Cook and Livingston, it seemed like you got something, McKinney, from every one of those guys in the third quarter. And how important is that going to be moving forwards if you guys are as depleted as you leave the game tonight?
Well, that's what it takes. You need your bench no matter what, but in particular when you've got a lot of injuries. So we'll just continue to go to those guys and trust them, and they've proven that they can really help us. Bogut hadn't played in the first game in 3 quarters, so what he did was fantastic out there. Gave us a little different look with that lob threat. So we'll see what we've got and tee it up for Game 3.
Last question, next behind.
Steve Arash-Madani from Sportsnet. You mentioned that Andre's unfazed a few years ago was so big for you in the finals. What is it about him on this stage in these big games and the big moments where he delivers?
He's just got a lot of experience. He's done everything in his career. He's been in the Olympics. He's won 3 rings. He's been an all-star. He knows how to play. One of the smartest players I've ever been around. And I think he sensed that we needed his production in that second half, and he came alive. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.
And that was Warriors head coach Steve Kerr coming off a big 109-104 win in Game 2 to even up the series, 1 game apiece, heading into Game 3 from Oakland on Wednesday. How do you guys think the Warriors are able to bottle up this momentum and carry it into the Oracle Arena on Wednesday?
Well, first things first, I think the Golden State Warriors are really going to have to get healthy. They have too many guys that's banged up.
Yep.
We know KD is out. Boogie's just not coming back. But, man, Looney's going to be a big-time part. And then you have to figure out what's going on with Clay.
Yep.
And Iggy is still hobbling. So health is going to play a big part for the Golden State Warriors.
I 100% agree with you. Health is going to be huge. But then also if they do get KD back, even if Looney is still nursing an injury, Clay, obviously we don't know the prognosis of that at this point in time. But KD's production is huge. So if they can get him back for Game 3, or I've been hearing reports of Game 4, that would be big as well. But I definitely say they have a lot of momentum going back into Oakland. And the defending champs are looking like the defending champs.
Yeah, well, if everybody can stay healthy, we saw, as you mentioned, a couple guys go down. Andre Iguodala, he came back to play. Clay did not return after leaving in the 4th quarter, so we will keep you updated on their prognoses as we look ahead to Wednesday. We've got much more from the NBA Finals coming up in 30 seconds. Welcome back. As we mentioned, the Warriors are battling injury, but as we saw in Game 1, DeMarcus Cousins coming back out after missing over a month of action with that quad injury. A little unproductive, I guess you would say, in his time, but tonight, 11 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double for Boogie in his first career NBA Finals appearance. How special is this?
Lina, I think that was by design. DeMarcus Cousins comes back for that first game, and Steve Kerr puts him in. He plays limited minutes. That was just to get DeMarcus Cousins' feet wet, for him to go up and down, for him to get his wind back. And then second game, they need another guy. We're talking about DeMarcus Cousins tonight. Gave him big-time minutes, gave him 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 points. So he was close to a triple-double.
Right.
Draymond Green was on the triple-double watch, but it gives them that extra guy that they have to pay attention to. When you look at what happened with the Toronto Raptors, yes, Kawhi got big-time numbers, but where was Superman Pascal Siakam?
Oh, man.
Where was the auxiliary guys? Where was Danny Green, Kyle Lowry?
Kyle Lowry is the one that I'm looking for.
All of those guys that played huge in Game 1, they didn't show up tonight, but DeMarcus Cousins stepped in and was that extra guy that the Golden State Warriors needed.
Now, speaking of not showing up, another thing, too, that I noticed, the Raptors, they're highly praised for their defense. They're long. They can, they can crash the board. They can close hose. They have 2 former defensive players of the year, in Gasol and Kawhi. That defense was missing in that third quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like they all just took a nap, took a break, and said, boss, I'll be back in 10 minutes, because nothing was going on there.
Exactly. And here's another question for you. Was that good offense, or was that bad defense? Because the Golden State Warriors came out and they knocked down some shots to where they were contested, and Toronto was trying to defend them, but the Warriors just have so much firepower, and that's what they do. They own that third quarter.
Well, their slogan is obviously strength in numbers, and you saw that today. When guys were going down, people were stepping up and playing big roles. So.
Yeah, well, we will see what the Raptors head coach Nick Nurse has to say about that janky defense in this Game 2 loss.
So, in the backcourt, probably 80 feet or so from the basket, those are ones you got to be careful, especially when you got 5, but I'll need to look at that first.
Tim, back right.
Nick, Tim Reynolds with the AP, back to the other side. Hi. When the next 2.5 days before you guys get back out there, how much are you going to be thinking about the first 6 minutes of the half and how that just was obviously very uncharacteristic for the way you guys have been playing for the last couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly going to have to look at it. And, you know, I've always said, even this series and the last series, that offense is really important, taking care of the ball and scoring it, because if you don't, they're coming at you really fast the other way. And again, we've got to be able to get our defense set up, and it's a lot harder when you're not taking care of it or scoring. Just kind of playing it back through my head, I thought we had I know we had one little turnover where Danny slipped to the rim and tried to kick it out, but I think, you know, Mark had a couple real nice little looks there, and we had 4 or 5 decent possessions there, and we just came away empty on all of them. And then we had probably 4 or 5 that were not good possessions either. So, you know, certainly the offense hurt the chance to get the defense set up there. So, yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch that. I'm probably not going to enjoy that very much, but I'm going to have to check it out.
Right here in the second row in the center.
Coach Kayla Gray, TSN. You guys got a little bit of life there from Fred VanVleet for a moment. I'm just wondering what you saw from him in the minutes that you got from him. 30.
Yeah, he played a lot. What did he play tonight?
38.
Almost 40. Yeah, he was good. Obviously, he's working really hard on defense too. You know, guarding Curry. He was running the team. He was making really quick decisions off the pick and roll. You know, he had some good looks. He probably hadn't played that many straight minutes in a while. I think he had a couple that are late. He was probably a little tired, but he you know, he kept taking them and stepping into them. But you know, 17 points from him is great, and running the team the way he did is great.
And that was Raptors head coach Nick Nurse coming off a 5-point loss at home in Game 2. I want to reiterate the fact that Klay Thompson led the Warriors in scoring tonight with 25 points, but he left the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left with left hamstring tightness. He did not return. So with that being said, if Klay does not come back for Game 3, how would that affect this entire series?
Wow, I mean, you look at it right now, Steve Kerr has cleared the bench. He used every last single guy. A couple of guys only played a few seconds.
Right.
But Steve Kerr has went so deep into his bench, he's going to have to get it done by committee. He has too many of his main guys that are out with injury, so he's going to have to keep doing that the exact same way, using everybody off his bench and trying to get more out of his starters.
I was going to say, the production, obviously, if Klay is out, is going to have to go to some of these bench guys. And Klay, the thing, he's just he has a quick release. He's extremely lethal with the basketball, especially off the screen. So that is a huge loss for them. They're going to have to find some way for people to fill that production.
All right, well, we will keep you updated on Klay Thompson's injury update. Again, leaving Game 2 in the fourth quarter with left hamstring tightness for the Warriors in their big Game 2 win. You're watching a special post-game edition of Toyota Sports Extra. We have much more from the NBA Finals, including more from the press conference going on in Toronto right now. Stick with us.
But it's that time for this week's Toyota Top Play. The best thing we saw from the sports world this week, and it happened last night. All y'all guys watched it. Henry Ruiz Jr. shocking the world. Dare I say Buster Douglas style? Ruiz knocking down heavyweight champ Anthony Joshua in studied fashion 4 times in the fight. Mama said knock you out. The referee would stop it. Henry Ruiz Jr. shocking the world, shocking everybody. This week's Toyota Top Play.
Toyota is #1 MPG safety and value. Toyota, let's go places. Toyota Sports Extra will be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us after Game 2 of the NBA Finals between the Warriors and the Raptors in Toronto. As we mentioned, Klay Thompson going down in the fourth quarter. But those who tuned in early noticed Steph Curry was experiencing some discomfort, whether it was with his eye, whether it was the dehydration that Steve Kerr mentioned. He struggled early, but again, finishing with 23 points. But it seems like all these guys, we're talking about tightness, we're talking about a quad, you know. When we're talking about those things, are those delicate things, or are, like you said, Henry, you're going to need to be in a coma to get back out in Game 3?
When you are a basketball player and you are in the finals, you're going to have to be on IV before you not be out there on the floor. I understand, you know, Steph was having a couple of problems, but that wasn't going to stop him from playing this basketball game. And this was a meaningful basketball game for the Golden State Warriors. And understanding that, you know, Klay, he went out with the hamstring, or the quad, or whatever that is, but still, if they needed him, I think he would have been able to come back and give them something. It was just to the point to where the Warriors had opened up that 10-plus point lead. That gave them the leeway to say, okay, Klay, you did your job. Go in, get some rest, get treated. The other guys are going to bring it home.
And also you have to look, too, at about how much basketball the Warriors have played the last 5 years. This is their 5th straight. Think about how many more games they played the last 5 years than anybody.
Man.
So all the wear and tear on their body. Andre Iguodala was talking about it the other day, talking about this may force them into an early retirement just because they have played so much in the postseason. They're, playing 100 and something games each season, each year? So you think after a while that just starts to wear and tear on the body. And, obviously they've been there before. They've been here before, whether they need the IV or whatever it is.
But understand, they have the best trainers. They have the best facility. It's not like the Golden State Warriors, the flying coach.
Right, and I think it speaks to the training staff and everybody who's been able to keep these guys so healthy throughout the postseason. Of course, Steph Curry dealing with some things, and obviously Kevin Durant. But to be performing at this level for the last 5 seasons is pretty remarkable.
Exactly, it's pretty insane. So the key, I think, for them is just to get Klay healthy because he's such a huge critical part of that. The only guy that can pretty much shoot from anywhere not named Steph Curry.
Right.
And we see what Klay does when he gets hot.
Yeah.
And they need that. They definitely do. But, tonight we looked at this basketball game, and we look at how many players Steve Kerr played.
Yep.
And really, his starting 5 did exactly what they needed to do. We know those guys. They do exactly what they did tonight on paper. But when you look at what Toronto did, the first game, Pascal Siakam played out of his mind.
Yep, 32 points.
Played out of his mind. But tonight when you need him again, we're talking about a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Are these guys going to be able to hold it down? You look at Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol shot 2 for 7. He's in your starting lineup. Then you go to Danny Green. Danny Green was 3 for 7. He's in your starting lineup. And then you go to Kyle Lowry, 4 for 11.
Yeah.
You got 3 guys that's in your starting lineup that didn't perform up to expectation. Are they going to be able to hold it down? Because Kawhi did his deal. Kawhi had 34 points.
Yep.
Got his numbers.
Yep, perfect from the stripe.
But are the other guys going to be able to hold that down for the next 5 games?
Guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Right now, it's basically a 5-game series at this point because we are tied at 1 win apiece as we head to Oracle Arena on Wednesday, of course, right here on ABC 10. We have much more from today's Game 2 of the NBA Finals coming up for you right here on ABC 10 during a special edition of Toyota Sports Extra. We have Warriors forward Draymond Green at the podium after a 17-point performance in Game 2.
5 minutes before and 5 minutes after the half that allowed you guys to take over?
We got stops. We took away their transition buckets, and we got transition buckets. We always say we're at our best when we're getting. That's our best offense when we're getting stops and we're pushing the ball. Obviously, Steph was great, in closing out that half for us, and I think we should have been down by a lot more than 5 points. But when you're going in, into the half down 5, we know we can cover that in 10 seconds. Our mindset was great coming out the half, and DeMarcus was big to start the half, and everybody was just moving without the ball, and we pushed the ball in transition. It was big for us.
Standing in the back right.
Draymond, Dan Devine from The Ringer. Picking up on that point on DeMarcus, I'm wondering, when you found out he was going to be starting tonight, what were you thinking about how that might change the way you guys were able to move on offense? And then what did you see from him as the game progressed? Did it seem like he sort of got into rhythm, got going as the game went along?
He did. That's once again, DeMarcus hasn't played much basketball over the course of the last 18 months. So the more he plays, the better feel he gets. Tonight he was huge for us. Coach, putting him in the starting lineup, I think was big. Obviously they want to attack him on the defensive end, but you watch the film, he didn't give up much on the defensive end in Game 1. And similar to tonight, he was great on both ends as well. So, and allowed us to play through him some in the post. They got to honor that, or, we know what he's capable of if they don't.
Mark, right here in the front.
Draymond, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Steph, after the game, said it was disrespectful of the Raptors to leave Andre wide open for that shot, given his pedigree. What did you think of that last possession, the way Andre shot the ball with that much time left on the clock, and the fact the Raptors didn't get a foul?
Well, I didn't think they were going to foul. They were trying to get a steal. They were trapping Steph. Steph outletted the ball to me. They came with a trap. But I think as big as Andre's shot was, we've come to expect Andre to hit big shots. Since he's been here, I've seen him hit several game winners. I've seen him, put the icing on the cake of several wins. But the way Sean Livingston met that pass, I think, no one will write about that. We all got a joke amongst us of bad receivers and good receivers. I always call Kevin a bad receiver. I always call Sean a bad receiver. He turned into Megatron tonight for that pass. It was big for us.
Okay, next question.
Hi, Draymond, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, Philippines. What would be the Warriors' next game plan to avoid some of the mistakes that were made on defense and offense?
I mean, you're always going to make mistakes. That's just the nature of the game we play. You're playing against, a great team. They're in the NBA Finals for a reason. They're going to force you to make some mistakes, but it's about the effort that you put out there on the floor to overcome those mistakes. And, I think we did that tonight. You're never going to play a mistake-free game. None of us are expecting that, but you try to minimize the mistakes and take advantage of, the opposite team mistakes.
All right, so that was Draymond Green coming off a 17-point, 10-rebound performance. You heard him kind of mention the performance of Boogie Cousins getting the start tonight, and you said they were cooking in the backcourt.
I mean, what they did to the Toronto Raptors front court, they definitely took those guys out the game. And, the way Draymond Green approaches the game, he goes effort-based first. He understands he's going to make turnovers, it's going to be some mistakes, but he's going to bring it 150% on the effort side. And then when you have another guy like DeMarcus Cousins who really has his back, he's the yin to the yang of Draymond Green, and then being, capable of scoring on the offensive end. Like I said earlier on, DeMarcus Cousins gave them that extra guy to where the Toronto Raptors had to pay attention to.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they're able to take we're going to see either of these teams take a series lead because it's tied at 1 game apiece after the Warriors win on the road. Still to come. We'll be checking in with Sac State Hornets baseball team as a rematch in this week's Dignity Health Sports Standout. The Sacramento State baseball team looking to shock the world this weekend in Palo Alto after a crushing 11-0 loss to the Stanford Cardinal on Friday in the first of their double elimination regional tournament. The Hornets were able to bounce back with a 6-4 win to stay alive and get another crack at the Cardinal in an elimination game this afternoon. Fresno State upset Stanford, putting the host team in an elimination game today. Elk Grove native Evan Givens getting the start for the Hornets, and Stanford making a statement early with a 2-run homer in the first to get things going. It beat 5-0 Stanford before Sac State even got on the board, and Placerville's Matt Smith would crush a 2-run homer in the 8th inning, but Stanford is just too much for the Sac State Hornets once again. 40 wins on the season for the Hornets, but it comes to an end with a 12-3 loss to Stanford in the NCAA Regional. Now the Hornets will they got their first win over Santa Barbara on Saturday, and that was their first NCAA tournament win since 2014. Still a young team with a lot of talent on the roster after making their 3rd NCAA tournament appearance in 6 seasons. We're back after this. All right, welcome back. We got Game 3 from the NBA Finals coming up in Oracle Arena in Oakland later this week, and we have coverage from that. Do you think that the Warriors are able to keep this momentum, or will the Raptors bounce back?
For the Warriors, it comes down to one thing. Who is healthy and who will be able to play? Obviously, Klay, he just said that he's expecting to play Game 3. Obviously, he still has to check with doctors and get cleared to play, but I think it really all depends on who's healthy. Also, if KD is going to come back, whether it's Game 4, Game 3. So depending on who they have, I think that will determine the outcome of that, because Toronto is going to be hungry for a win.
Gotcha.
I agree wholeheartedly. If you're Nick Nurse, who do you prepare for? Because you definitely have to prepare for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you have to flip the script. You have to prepare for Klay Thompson. So it's going to be tough for the Raptors. But this is what the finals are all about. You have to make adjustments and then be able to come out and implement them.
Well, we saw the Warriors make the adjustments from Game 1 after a loss to kick off the series. They got one back in Toronto, and now we, again, officially have a series with a team winning on the road. Game 2 coming to you from Toronto tonight, and we will have much more coming up tonight on Toyota Sports Extra at its regularly scheduled time at 11:35. I want to thank Henry, the High Flyer Turner, for joining us. You can catch him on Sports 1140 KHGK as the Kings radio analyst, and we'll be back here later tonight. We'll see you for Game 3 on Wednesday. A special edition of ABC News is coming up next. The NBA Finals series between the Raptors and the Warriors all tied up as the teams head to Oakland. We've got everything you need to know about Wednesday's Game 3 and much more coming up on Toyota Sports Extra in just a few minutes right here on ABC 10. DeMarcus Cousins gets the start. Klay Thompson leaves the game, and the Golden State Warriors still Game 2 on the road. We'll show you the big moments and give you an injury update before Wednesday's Game 3 in the Bay. And Sac State's baseball team coming in hot as they head to the NCAA regional tournament in Stanford. The Hornets doing something they haven't been able to do since 2014. We'll tell you what it is and show you the big moments as the postseason continues. And it is the off season, but the Kings star is doing something on national television like shooting hoops with Jimmy Kimmel. We'll show you why De'Aaron Fox was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show and much more later on tonight. Plus, we've got former Sacramento Kings player turned radio analyst Henry Turner in the house to break down Game 2 of the NBA Finals. So stick around, hang out with me and ABC 10's Kevin John on Toyota Sports Extra in just a few minutes. Just a couple minutes past your bedtime, Mike.
Yeah. And it's a thrilling conversation, I have to say so.
Yeah.
All right.
You're watching Toyota Sports Extra.
Hello, happy June. Welcome to Toyota Sports Extra on ABC 10. I'm Lina Washington. He's Kevin John, and boy, have we got a lot of basketball to talk about tonight. Game 2 of the NBA Finals tipping off in Toronto with the Raptors looking to protect home court. We've got former Kings player turned analyst Henry Turner back with us to break down the series, now even at 1 game apiece.
Oh, yeah, and the Sac State baseball team heads to Stanford looking to shock the world in the NCAA tournament. We'll show you how the Hornets look this weekend.
Directly across from me, over his own tank of water, point guard for the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox. Hello, De'Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
In case you don't know the rules, Cousins peeing in the tank.
Yeah, that's Swipe on national television. Kings star De'Aaron Fox going Hollywood, hanging out with Jimmy Kimmel. We'll also show you his latest off-court venture later in the show. But we begin tonight with the NBA Finals. After 24 years in the league, the only team north of the border is having its moment in the spotlight. The Toronto Raptors opening this NBA Finals series against the two-time defending NBA champion Warriors with a win at home on Thursday. But would they be able to recreate that magic in Game 2 tonight? The Warriors playing without Kevin Durant once again, but the Dubs getting another player back from injury during the series, former Sacramento Kings star DeMarcus Cousins. Boogie getting the start in Game 2 after playing in Game 1. He struggled shooting, but this is just his 4th playoff game in his 9-year NBA career. Cuz finishing with a double-double of 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, nearly making it a triple-double in his first NBA Finals series. But the Warriors found themselves in another first-half deficit. We didn't see those third-quarter Warriors getting loose in Game 1, but tonight they showed up big time. Out of the locker room after a 59-54 deficit at the half. Golden State coming out with an 18-0 run in the first 5 minutes of the second half, scoring the first 18 points of the second half, I should say. The Dubs go on from trailing by 5 to leading by 13 real quick, and then we get this sequence in the final seconds as Klay Thompson leaves the fourth quarter, not to return with a hamstring tightness. We see Andre Iguodala sealing the deal for the Dubs, the 2015 NBA Finals MVP, showing why he is so lethal, especially from beyond the arc, knocking down this shot in response to the shot knocked down by Danny Green on the other end of the floor, and the Warriors go on to steal Game 2 on the road. 109-104 is your final. The Warriors tying up this NBA Finals series at 1 game apiece.
Let's play until the finish. Everybody just stay composed. I mean, they're a great team. They make runs, but that third quarter, we imposed our will and got stops on defensive end. And no matter how ugly it was down the stretch, got it done. The whole fourth quarter, they were playing some janky defense, just trying to send bodies to me everywhere. And our whole roster just took advantage of it. Like, over the course of the game, that's kind of disrespectful to leave Andre Iguodala open like that, you know, with the game on the line. He's made big shots like that before, and he got it done tonight.
It's all about our defense, and we held them to 37%, and forced 15 turnovers and guarded the three-point line well. So it was championship defense, and that's what it's going to take.
The only thing that matters is the four wins. Once you get it, 2 wins, 3 wins, it does not matter. Just take one game at a time and, just play through the adversity.
So you saw Kawhi Leonard there leading the Raptors in scoring. Steph Curry finishing with 23 points for the Warriors. And this series heading to Oakland, now tied at 1 win apiece. Game 3 on Wednesday. And that Game 3 we will have for you on Wednesday at 6 o'clock right here on ABC 10. And the Warriors have a 31-7 record in Game 3s in the postseason. And the Warriors and their fans will be waiting to learn if some of their banged-up players will actually be suiting up for that game because, as we mentioned, no Kevin Durant. Klay Thompson left the game. Andre was banged up. Steph had some issues. So let's bring in our ABC 10's Kevin John to bring us up to speed on what's going on with those banged up players on the Warriors.
Yeah, Lina, the Warriors, they did take care of business tonight, as you just showed, but it did come at a small price. I mean, at one point in time, it seemed like the Warriors were just dropping like flies in this game. Or in other words, they got infected by the injury bug. Allow me to explain. So it all started in the first quarter when Steph Curry left midway through. Now, initial reports said that the sharpshooter fell ill, but as we found out from Steve Kerr after the game, Curry was suffering from dehydration. Guess he didn't get enough H2O. Now, Curry would return to the game and end up dropping 23 points. And then later in the first, Kevon Looney took a nasty fall. As you can see there, he was later removed from the game and was diagnosed with a left chest contusion. And then in the fourth quarter, oh, this is not a good look. Klay Thompson went down after attempting a three-point shot. As you can see, Klay, he landed awkwardly, eventually left the game. He was later diagnosed with a left hamstring injury. Klay did lead the Warriors with 25 points. And not to mention, they also have this guy by the name of Kevin Durant, who is still out as well. Now, as of now, there's no definitive on his return, but it could come as soon as Game 4.
Klay said he'll be fine, but, you know, Klay could be half dead and he'd say he'd be fine. So we'll see. You know, he pulled his hamstring. He thinks it's minor. So I don't know what that means going forward. And Loon, something with his shoulder, and so we'll see. I think he may have been a little dehydrated, and that was the word I got. He just was feeling a little bit lightheaded and went back into the training room and came back and was doing much better. So I'm not exactly sure beyond that. So that's all I've got for you.
Just didn't feel right, but to start the game. But end of the day, nothing's going to keep you out from playing in a finals game if you can help it. So I have plenty of time to recover before Game 3.
Now, while many players were falling out with injuries, one player the Warriors got back from injury this series was none other than Boogie Cousins. Yes, the former Kings All-Star would get the start in Game 2 and have a tremendous impact. Believe it or not, this is just Boogie's fourth playoff game in his illustrious 9-year NBA career. DeMarcus, his second game back from a torn quad, racked up a double-double as he dropped 11 points, 10 rebounds, dished out 6 assists. Now, in just over 27 minutes of action, he played just 8 minutes in Game 1. He played a critical role in the Warriors getting the victory today, and he's willing to give Coach Kerr whatever he asks of him.
I thought he was great. I mean, you know, we came in thinking, all right, he can, you know, maybe play 20 minutes, and he gave us almost 28. There was only one time in the game when he needed a rest, which was mid-fourth, and we gave him a couple minutes and then got him back in the game. But he was fantastic.
This is what I've worked for my entire career, to be on this stage, to have this opportunity, you know, to play for something. But, you know, once they told me I had a chance, a slight chance at, you know, being able to return, it basically was up to me and the work and the time I put in behind the injury. It was up to me. So with God's grace, I'm able to be out here and, you know, play the game that I love. I don't take any of this for granted. I've seen how quick this game can be taken away from you. So every chance I get to go out there and play, I'm going to leave it on the floor.
Love his glasses there. So the Warriors are banged up, but are able to even up the final series with the Raptors.
Welcome back. ABC 10 again is your home for continuing coverage of the NBA Finals. We'll have the reports from Oakland as Games 3 and 4 tip off from Oracle Arena this week. But as we mentioned, a couple injuries. Now this series is even. Kevin, how do you see these two games going for the Dubs at home?
Going to dictate the outcome of this. As Steve said, Klay says he wants to go for Game 3, and he would be playing half dead, but obviously that is a critical role that he fills there. So if he's out, that's going to be part of a problem. Also, Looney, we don't quite know his prognosis at this particular point in time. He's played big minutes and did some great things in the paint there. And they also expect Toronto, they're going to make a lot of defensive changes coming into Game 3. So I would not be surprised if Toronto came down and actually took Game 3 from the banged-up Warriors. What about you, Lina?
All right, yeah, that's fair to say. I would actually kind of reverse it. I think the Warriors will be able to bottle this up, and then maybe they might be a little bit more gassed after getting back and feeling that energy from their home floor. This is the first time they haven't had home court advantage in the NBA Finals, so it's a bit of a different routine for them in these last 5 appearances that they've had. But I think the Warriors will be able to maintain this energy and keep things going in Game 3 on Wednesday. But throughout the finals, we'll be joined by an Oakland native himself, former Kings player turned analyst Henry Turner. And of course, you can catch him on Sports 1140 KHTK talking all things Kings. But take a listen to what he had to say about this NBA Finals series as it heads back to the town.
I understand, Steph was having a couple of problems, but that wasn't going to stop him from playing this basketball game. And this was a meaningful basketball game for the Golden State Warriors. And understanding that, Clay, he went out with the hamstring, or the quad, or whatever that is. But still, if they needed him, I think he would have been able to come back and give them something, because the Golden State Warriors came out and they knocked down some shots to where they were contested, and Toronto was trying to defend them, but the Warriors just have so much firepower, and that's what they do. They own that third quarter. If you're Nick Nurse, who do you prepare for? Because you definitely have to prepare for Kevin Durant. And then all of a sudden, you have to flip the script. You have to prepare for Klay Thompson. So it's going to be tough for the Raptors. But this is what the finals are all about. You have to make adjustments and then be able to come out and implement them.
Always good to hear from Henry, the high flyer Henry Turner. He'll join us again on Wednesday night for Game 3. Again, tipping off at 6 with coverage beginning right here at 5:30 on ABC 10. When we come back on Toyota Sports Extra on ABC 10, the A's and the Astros provide some free baseball at the Coliseum this afternoon. We'll show you what happened in the majors next.
And things are heating up in the Stanley Cup final as a team pulls off a major win on the road. We're bringing you the action next. But it's that time for this week's Toyota Top Play. We have a good one. The best thing we saw from the sports world this weekend. It happened last night. Henry Ruiz Jr., please stand up. Shocking the world, dare I say, Buster Douglas style. Yeah, Ruiz knocking down heavyweight champ Anthony Joshua in stunning fashion 4 times in the fight. And the referee would stop it. That is right. Junior shocking the world. This week's Toyota Top Play. Go, Henry.
Toyota is #1 MPG safety and value. Toyota, let's go places.
And now they're in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, and things wouldn't get any easier today. To Oaktown we go. After trailing 4-2 in the 7th, Oakland would answer back with a pair of solo shots in the 7th and the 8th to tie this one up. So that's when we go to extra innings. And in the top of the 12th, the Astros would score 2 runs off 2 base hits, and that would do it. A's go on to lose their 5th straight. They drop this one 6-4 and get swept in the series.
Yeah, frustrating, obviously. I mean, we on a nice little roll, and then we lose the last couple, and then 3 more. So we had a lot of momentum going. I think it was 10 in a row or whatever it was, and, couldn't back it up here. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for us. We got to find a way to be a little bit more consistent.
This lineup just puts so much pressure on you. I mean, we kind of saw it today, but they're 8-9-1 is just lightning fast. And, the one mistake I made today was walking Kemp. It was pretty unacceptable. You walk guys in this lineup, you're screwed.
Okay, there you have it. So the A's lose their 5th straight after winning 10 in a row. Next up for Oakland is a 3-game series in Anaheim.
All right, well, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it is June, and if there's any team or anyone who's glad to see the month of May come to an end, it's definitely the Giants. Not only did they lose 16 games in the month, they lost 7 in a row. And the good news is May's in the books, June is here, and it's looking good. 2 days in, Camden Yards, the place where the Giants are playing, fresh off an 8-2 victory last night. They would carry that momentum into today. Brandon Crawford doing work this afternoon, going yard twice, giving him 5 homers on the season. And Evan Longoria got in on the action as well. Coming into today's game, Longoria was 0-for-21 in his last 21 at-bats, breaking that slump in style. Longoria had 3 hits on the afternoon, including this homer in the 4th, as the Giants go on to smash the Orioles in Baltimore 8-1. Now, in their last 2 games, the Giants have outscored their opposition in a plot twist of the season, 16-3. Next up for the Orange and Black, a 3-game series against the New York Mets.
And Lina, you got your orange on too. All right, turning to golf. At the tournament that Jack built, Jack Nicklaus, the host of the Memorial, where last year Bryson DeChambeau, who was born in Modesto, grew up in the Clovis area, took home the championship hardware at the Memorial, the first of 4 tournament wins for the 25-year-old. Final round action at today's Memorial. Quite a bit different situation. DeChambeau too far out to make a run, but Tiger Woods did roar in the Sunday Red. He fired his best round of the weekend, his first round of under 70 for the tournament, to finish with a 5 under 67, 10 shots behind the leader, which became Patrick Cantlay, who rallied from 4 shots down coming into today's final round. He fires an 8 under 64, holding off Martin Keimer and Adam Scott Now he's your Memorial champion, finishing at 19 under for the tournament.
The goal today was to get to double digits and, get something positive. I was saying yesterday, get something positive going into the Open. And I got to double digits. I just didn't stay there. But overall, it was a great day. I hit the ball really well and made some nice putts.
It feels really, really good to finish it off how I did today. I knew I had a little bit of a mountain to climb to start the day. A couple guys ahead of me, 2 and 4 shots ahead of me, and guys that have played really well and closed out golf tournaments. So I knew that I needed to come out firing and make a bunch of birdies, and fortunately I did.
All right, now with the conclusion of the Memorial, we're now 2 weeks away from crowning a new champion at the U.S. Open, coming up from Pebble Beach, June 13th through June 16th.
Set to be a beautiful event there at Pebble Beach. All right, let's go racing. To the Pocono 400 we go. Taking center stage in Pennsylvania this afternoon, Elk Grove native Kyle Larson looking for his first win, an elusive one of the year, even though he did win the All-Star race out in Charlotte. The other Kyle Busch, we've called his name several times this season, and he continues his dominance. Something's got to give, though, folks. Mr. Larson would go off and get off to a great start, taking the first 2 stages of this race, but he would hit a wall hard late in the stage 3, and then after the restart, the number 42 car never able to recover. So Kyle Larson, a rough finish for him. But Kyle Busch, great finish for him. Nearly a flawless race as Busch leads 79 laps all the way into victory lane. His 3rd victory at Pocono and his 4th of the season in the Monster Energy Cup Series. Larson finishes 26th after leading for 35 laps at the Pocono 400 in Pennsylvania. When we come back on Toyota Sports Extra on ABC 10, the Stanley Cup Final, heading to the Show Me State with the series tied at 1 win apiece. We're talking playoff hockey after the break.
And the Sac State Hornets are hot in the postseason as they continue on the road to Omaha. We've got the action from the NCAA baseball tournament coming up. All right, let's talk some hockey, shall we? The Stanley Cup Finals continued last night. The Bruins were seeking redemption after losing Game 2, and it's safe to say that Boston got some redemption and did some. With the series tied at 1 game apiece, Game 3 is often pivotal in setting the tone for the rest of the series. To St. Louis, Boston came out hotter than a can of baked beans. The Bruins would climb to a 3-0 lead in the first period. They never looked back. Defenseman Torrey Krug scored a goal and had 3 assists, while Patrice Bergeron added a goal and 2 assists. Unfortunately, the Blues couldn't get out of their own way. After being the least penalized team through the first 3 rounds, the Blues took 7 more biters on Saturday. Bruins go on to win big in Game 3, 7-2 the final. Bruins take a 2-1 lead in the series. Game 4 is Monday night in St. Louis.
Well, I don't think we did everything great, to be honest with you. I think we were very opportunistic, obviously our power play. We did enough things well early to get the lead, extend the lead. But in the second period, we didn't manage the puck as well as we'd like. So there's clearly always stuff we can work on. Some of the adjustments we made with our breakout, I thought worked out well for us at times.
I think it's a bit of a balancing act. Obviously, that's their MO, and they're going to play hard. And I don't know. I guess I don't know. You could say, I guess maybe it's tempting to take penalties. I know it's an emotional game, obviously, but I think that our composure as a team is very good.
All right, let's talk some Kings basketball briefly. If you're a sneakerhead or a Sacramento basketball fan, you've noticed Kings point guard De'Aaron Fox hyping up this shoe release this weekend. The Nike Air Max 1s releasing on Friday, and they were developed in his honor. On the back of the shoe, Fox's nickname, Swipa, as in Dora the Explorer, swipe and no swiping, for his stealing constantly on the court, prominently displayed. The left shoe primarily burgundy, the right primarily blue, and it's a similar style and colorway. The shoe releasing is the first for De'Aaron Fox. Maybe not the last. It wasn't the only thing going on this weekend for the young Kings star, up for Most Improved Player this year in the NBA. He took time to join Jimmy Kimmel in LA tonight on ABC following Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Check it out.
This is a cold bath of water, and I'm hoping that I don't get in it. Yeah. I guess whoever goes in first, all right? Yeah. All right, here we go.
Ready?
Here we go.
Set, shoot! Wow.
That took less time than I expected it to. Well, Oh, well, there you go. Thank you, Cousin Sal, for, yes. Oh, my God.
Come on.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
God doesn't want De'Aaron to go in the pool, I guess, is what's happening here. Well, that's the show. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, hold on.
Your GM just called. He's traded you. Wow, that's very sad. That's our show. I want to thank De'Aaron Fox. I want to thank... Well, that's it, I guess.
Always a blast with Kemo.
Yeah.
All right, De'Aaron Fox is also up for the NBA's Most Improved Player award later this month. He's one of 3 finalists for the award. Pretty exciting stuff. And I'm sorry, did I hear a Dora Explorer reference earlier?
Well, that's his nickname. For those who don't understand where Swipa with an A comes from, it's from Swiper, no swiping, the little fox that steals everything. In the kids show, Dora the Explorer, fox, Swipa steals. He has like a streak of steals on the court for a certain amount of games.
I never saw Dora Explorer. I had a cat named Dora that was named after it, but anyways,
well,
big
then
ups
you
to
should know who
Swipa.
Swiper the Fox is, Kevin. What are you doing? Follow De'Aaron Fox to learn more about Swipa and his shoes. We've got much more coming up, including baseball with Sac State Hornets looking to show and shock the world on our sports standout.
And that's the dream, right? I mean, every program wants to go to Omaha, and for us to get to that point, we need to take the next step and win a regional, and that was the focus when we talked in September. At some point, that's the next step, and here we are. We get an opportunity to do it.
Getting the opportunity here to play at Sac State, stay locally, for my family and friends to come out and see is definitely surreal. What I've done here and what we've done here this year is absolutely amazing. We've got a great group of guys that all believe in each other, and if we keep doing that, we're going to do some special things here. Stingers up always.
I can dig it. Now, this week's sports standout, the Sacramento State baseball team looking to shock the world in Palo Alto this weekend after a crushing 11-0 loss to the Cardinal on Friday in their first game of the double elimination tournament. The Hornets were able to bounce back with a 6-4 win to stay alive and get another crack at the Cardinal in an elimination game this afternoon.
Well, Fresno State upstate Stanford to put them in an elimination game. Facing Sac State, Elk Grove native Evan Gibbons getting the start. Stanford making a statement early with the 2-run homer to get things going in the first. It'd be 5-0 Stanford before Sac State even got on the board. Placerville's Matt Smith crushes a 2-run homer in the 8th inning, but Stanford once again is just too much for Sac State. 12-3 is your final. Stanford goes on to the NCAA Regional. We're back after this. That's all we got for you tonight. Game 3 tipping off in Oakland on ABC 10. Coverage beginning at 5:30. Hey, Kevin John, L Washington TV. Let us know your predictions. Let us know if you are making the trip out to Oakland for Game 3 and 4. We will be out there, and we'll see you back here next week for Toyota Sports Extra on ABC 10. Have a good one.